QFM Tempe. Also transmitting on K257CD Phoenix at 99.3 FM and K240EU Mountain Hills at 95.9 FM. Wherever you go, take us along. Listen to our live stream on our free Fanatic app. Download it today.
It's the weekend!
Warriors! Warriors! Coming to play!
Yeah! Here we go! You're like... Good NFL Sunday morning, everybody. We're broadcasting live from the Weekend Warriors studios in beautiful Peoria, Arizona. I'm Rob Romano, alongside my partner in crime, the legend, Neil Lynch. We have Phil Amorine in the control room, and this is the Weekend Warriors Football Sunday edition, Week 3.
Hey, I'm going to be like Ralph Romano and be super bombastic. If you would like to participate in today's show, text us on the 1580 Fanatic text line. That's at 888-368-1580. If you've texted before, text back in and say hi. Tell us who you're thinking about for this week. If you've never participated in the show before, this is your sign. Get on the text line, 888-368-1580. You all shall be allowed to pick your own handle, moniker, nickname, whatever you want when you text in a couple of times. So also, make sure you follow us. We're going to be live on X. I think we're also on YouTube.
And Facebook.
And we're on Facebook. And we're on Galaxy 5 satellites everywhere. That's an old people reference. Never mind. But yeah, stay with us on social media. We got a lot of stuff going on today. What are we going to talk about today?
Well, I need
Ralph?
Phil to be bombastic now.
Okay, but all right, I'm sorry. Your turn, Phil.
All right, everybody, make sure to tune in on the radio and make sure that you're texting in that hot texting phone line.
Hot. Spitting some stacks of wax here.
It is so hot, it's bombastic.
It's a big word for 8 a.m. on a Sunday morning.
That's true, actually.
Let me tell you how much caffeine is flowing through my veins this morning.
That is too funny.
All right. First, let's look backwards.
You know, all I'm thinking
like
about...
all our wives do when they say, hey, remember when you did this?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So we got to look back.
So I'll tell you my favorite memory of the week was Cole's Cash driving down the field and making the Eagles look like complete morons. That was fantastic.
That was bad.
I could not believe that. I was like, was it a minute 47, no timeouts? I'm thinking, probably get close enough. I don't know. They're not going to make it. But he drove down the field. He sliced and diced them up like they weren't there. I'm not sure how much of that was just embarrassing for the Eagles or how much of it was my man Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, you know what it did? It made me think differently about the Falcons all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Are they that good? That they can do that quick? They hung in there that whole game, and then at the end they just said, okay, we'll win now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not quite ready to crown him yet, as our friend Mr. Denny Green said many years ago when he was the Cardinals coach. But we're not going to crown him yet, but it looks promising. I thought that was good. That was an exciting game to watch, and it was an exciting game in the last couple of minutes, obviously. The game itself kind of went on. We thought, okay, here goes. Kirk Cousins is he's gonna be manageable and serviceable, but then he looked like a world beater out there.
Yeah.
There were very few of those catches were contested, if I recall. Unbelievable.
Another surprise of last week I thought was the Packers.
I know.
That's your team, dude.
I picked against them, and I thought Malik was going to be out by the. It's like nope. None of that happened. They had a really good above average running game this time, and they managed to control the Colts. And I'm
Neil,
amazed.
did you foresee Josh Jacobs running it 32 times? Was that on your board
no,
of
it was
things?
not on my board, but I should have known better because that's once in a while the Packers turn into a run team. It doesn't happen that often, or it hasn't in history, even though they've had decent running backs the last decade or so. But it's like I was just that to me is about masterful game planning. Right?
53 carries for the entire Green Bay rush. That's insane. Yeah. Where's that besides the I formation pistol of like the 1920s?
That's
My
right.
God.
That's right. The single wing. Here we go. No, I agree. That was absolutely insane how well that game how well they game planned. That's really what it comes down to. That's hats off to the coaching staff for keeping that together. And now we know it's on film, as they say. The Packers can run the ball if they need to. Let's see if they can be consistent, though.
Yeah, I mean, another thing that stood out, I thought, was that the Broncos suck.
We're just starting off this morning.
We're going right at it.
Wow.
He chose
Caffeine, bombastic, everything. Let's go right at it.
That was a hideous game. I mean, my goodness. It's so odd to see the Broncos somehow make a resurgence to 5 yards or a yard in a cloud of dust. But through the passing game, like Bo Nix is throwing like his arm off, and yet somehow it's all amounting to like 2-yard gains at a time. It's like Sean Payton is reinventing the rush by gently passing it forward with Bo Nix. He's like, oh, no, I trust you 100%. Pass this ball, but nowhere above 3 yards, or maybe 4 yards if you're feeling like generous. My goodness.
I have a feeling Sean Payton might not be long for that job.
I don't...
They traded a first rounder for him, and then they gave him that extension. I at some point you have to give him at least one more year. It's not bad. It's not a horrible thing. At least there's direction. I can point to a lot of other teams with coaching malpractice and where you see no direction. I can at least see direction. It feels like this is the gap year. This is the year before it all should click. It's just unfortunate that you get the first year of the Harbaugh era down there in Chargers, which is looking a lot better in year one than even Sean Payton is in year two.
That's interesting.
And then I think the other big news was the Cardinal game. I mean,
absolutely.
I mean that we're going to talk in detail about that, but I mean, regardless of who you play, what condition they're in, and how they do, I mean, Kyler Murray played a great game.
Yes.
Which, when you have that kind of protection, you should play a great game. Marvin Harrison had a great breakout game. I mean, you got to appreciate the way he played, right? The defense was able to dominate that team that had no offensive line, which is exactly what they should have done. That was a great win. I mean, that was a big win for a team that needed a win like that. And it was I don't know if expected loss or big loss for a team that's just so beat up that I don't know if it gets any better from them anytime soon.
Well, they came into this game not too injured. It was mostly Puka Nacua and then some offensive line issues for the LA Rams coming into this. It was leaving this game that they were kind of like the Buccaneers of the week before in week one, where they lost their entire secondary. This coming out of this game, the Rams are absolutely devastated. I mean, the Cardinals may just be playing such physical football that's happening, or maybe it's bad injury luck, a la the Chargers of yesteryear or the Washington Commanders of yesteryear, where they just came out of it and just having horrendous injury luck, or maybe it's just the way the game played out for the Rams. But my goodness, the Cardinals, they'll take it where they can get it. I mean, it doesn't matter how you get the dub, you got the dub, and it's very impressive. After a week of Kyler Murray saying his job is not to get Marvin Harrison the ball, it sure looked like he was making an effort to do so. I mean, with those two impressive touchdowns, I'm still not sure that first one counted for Marvin Harrison, but whatever. No instant replay.
It's too late now. He gets it. So.
Yeah, it's on the board.
So I just want to. I was thinking about this. I wish we had some appropriate music for this, but we don't. I just want to have a public service announcement to all. I'm on our social media feed, and I'm looking right at the camera, just like you and I are sitting down for a chat at a coffee shop. Listen, this is more. It's a public service announcement. It's also maybe a little bit of an intervention. Okay, listen, Cardinals fans, you had a fantastic week last week. I've talked to many of you in person. I know how proud you were of your team and how excited you were about that victory. How it wasn't a victory where you made a play at the last second or you accidentally backed into a win because somebody made a mistake. No. The Cardinals dominated the Rams, okay? That is something to be extremely proud of. Be excited for it. It's a great momentum builder, especially for Marvin Harrison Jr., okay? But remember who you are, all right? And by the way, I would say the exact same thing to the Minnesota Vikings, except I have a little bit of a caveat there. So the Arizona Cardinals and the Minnesota Vikings, they're both cursed sports cities, right? The Arizona Cardinals and the Vikings have been cursed franchises for a long time. We all know about it. The fog might be lifting for the Vikings a little bit. I'll get to them in a second. But Cardinals fans, despite that amazing victory, nothing about your team fundamentally has changed. Ralph and I both said in the beginning of the season, and I'm sure Phil concurs, you're going to have a fantastic offensive team. The offensive side of the ball is never going to be a question. You're going to have a lot of shootouts. You're going to probably be in every single game in some way, shape, or form if that offense can continue to perform. It's your defense, though, man. Don't sleep on it, all right? It's 2 weeks into the season. All right? Don't start buying tickets to go to New Orleans, okay? Don't start booking hotels. Just wait a couple of weeks, okay? Let things settle out so you guys figure out who you are, all right? To quote Diana Taurasi, reality is coming, all right? Just calm down, take a deep breath, enjoy it. Let's see what happens this week, okay? Minnesota Vikings fans know about this. Don't get too excited. Sam Darnold looks like a world beater. Apparently, the thing that Baker Mayfield and Bryce Young and Sam Darnold have in common is that they played in a really, really, really bad Panthers system. So maybe it's the Panthers system that's bad. We can talk about them later. But Sam Darnold, okay, a couple of weeks ago, Vikings fans, you were saying that your season was over because Sam Darnold's the quarterback, okay? You were saying that. And now, after a convincing win against the Niners, who I don't think they've won in Minnesota since like 1992. It's some ridiculous stat. I don't even know what it is. Okay, you had a big win. Don't get too excited. Don't start booking travel to New Orleans. Every time you do this, you know what happens, right? Just don't. Don't tempt fate this time. Just enjoy the victory. Move on to next week. My point, though, is that I do think that the Vikings actually have a really good defense, and I think that they might surprise a lot of people, including me, this season. So anyway, I just want to make sure that the Cardinals fans are okay. Listen, I know there's going to be, after this week's game, there's going to be a lot of wailing and gnashing of teeth.
Oh my God,
we're going to have
dude.
We're going to need therapy out there. We're going to have counselors standing by. I get it, right? Like, I know, but just let it play out. All right. Don't get too excited. Just enjoy the moments. All right. Don't look ahead too far. Just enjoy your victory last week and look forward to this week. That's all I have to say.
Wow.
Is
that all? Gee, my goodness.
Oh no, there's more. But anyway, no. I just felt like I had to say that because having lived in Minnesota for 25 years and living through all of the heartbreak that the Vikings put that fan base through, I just see it again happening, and I love my Arizona Cardinals friends. I just don't want them to suffer. Just be okay with what you have.
Okay, so with that said, that was like going to a bad church sermon and feeling bad about yourself when you left.
Every head bowed, every eye closed.
Yeah. Ready to go. Suicide. I mean, come on.
That was the most downpouring, blowout win. I mean, you would have thought that they lost after that. My goodness. Let's take away some good points here for this. I mean, the Cardinals, they are undefeated at home. That's something to go about. Mm-hmm. And even though you are saying their defense doesn't look that good, I can agree. The game was over in the first half. I mean, the second half was just a formality. I think the fact that they're even mediocre, they're ranked 18th in points against, and then they played two pretty good teams going in. I think a lot of people, even if they didn't have the Rams winning that division, they certainly had them as a playoff team, no doubt about that. And you are facing an offensive wonderkin on the other side, head coach Sean McVay. I think that if we look at this team and what it can possibly do heading forward, yes, do we need to temper expectations and not say Super Bowl, baby, here we go, start booking your ring ceremony and parade? No, I don't think we're there. But look, each week is its own week. This is another NFC contender that you must have. This is not a throwaway game. This could be a tiebreaker. You're glad to have it at home, looking forward to this week. And you're certainly right. And each week does not carry into the other. You can't take 21 of the points that you used in order to win last week and put it in here and start ahead. But that being said, I'm going to speak for myself. Heading into week one, I actually am not with you. I didn't know what this offense was going to look like, and even though that they've scored plenty in the first week and now in the second week, I'm actually calmed that they have it. And the fact that their head coach is on the defensive side certainly gives me cause. I thought that was going to be an awful defense. The fact that they're even average or mediocre, I'm not going to lie, does actually bump up my expectations and what I have expected for this Arizona Cardinals team and what it can do.
So with don't give the NFL any more ideas about rule changes with that whole rolling points to the next game, because apparently they want to get rid of the 2 deep safeties. So, yeah, let's not give them any more ideas. But
okay. I don't know where to go with this.
Well,
you know what? One last thing before we go to the break. Let's talk the Thursday night game, and then after the break, we're gonna break down the Cardinal Lion game. We're gonna talk about nothing but that for that next segment. But Thursday night, I have a couple of key takeaways from Thursday night. Number one, Aaron Rodgers looked really good.
yes.
He threw 2 touchdown
Absolutely.
passes, one to Garrett Wilson. He showed mobility with scrambling. He actually looked pretty darn decent. I was kind of surprised after the way he looked in the first game. But if you get that version of Aaron Rodgers going forward, Jets are a pretty scary team. And then secondly was their defense. They were dominant. I mean, 7 sacks. They just dominated that line of scrimmage. They looked really good. And then the other funny note was Drake May got in and did nothing.
Right?
And I don't expect
man.
much from him right now anyway. But I thought that was really just an interesting game to see Aaron Rodgers come back the way he did. And when he does, he shows you how good the Jets can be.
Yes.
And if he can continue this, the Jets are going to be someone to play with, someone to mess with in the AFC.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that was a good game. And I think that from a fan base perspective, too, that win in East Rutherford exercised a lot of past demons for those Jets fans. Because when was the last time the Jets owned the Patriots like that? Anywhere.
What was the stat that they kept showing that they hadn't had a home win against the Patriots since 12 years ago or something like that?
Yeah. Okay, that's what it was.
Wow, really?
Like the Chad Pennington, Wayne Corbett days or something like that. Like it was a long time ago. So yeah, no, that was a fantastic victory for the Jets. So very happy for them. Yeah, again, and the thing is, I think that most people expect the Jets will probably be competing for a playoff spot at the end. I don't think there's any question about that. It's just a matter of how good can they be. And we'll see. I mean, and let's be honest. Aaron Rodgers is still 40 years old. If you keep going to that sensory deprivation chamber and taking your psychedelics, whatever you're doing, man, just keep it up.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Yeah, looking at this, I think we've seen offense across the league be down this year, and you can attribute that to really good matchups, really competitive matchups in the first week. Maybe the second week you're still trying to determine who's good and who's not. But I think that what we're showing is that sometimes you need just a tomato can. You just need somebody to kick around and just beat up on. And the Jets, I think that this was almost therapeutic for them. Like they've had 2 very, very difficult games going first. I think we've seen plenty of good things to talk about from the Tennessee defense that they played last week in week 2, and then week 1 they're playing against a fully healthy 49ers team. That's a Super Bowl contender right there. So whenever you're looking at this, and you see that Aaron Rodgers missed all of last year, he didn't play a snap in the preseason. Honestly, these are the type of game reps that are just invaluable to a team that's almost really just gelling for the first time in a full formulation within 2 years. I just think that sometimes this was just a get right game for the defense, get right game for the offense, and really just getting some formula. I mean, this was the first time you saw a connection between Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, and that above all else. Breece Hall was going to do what he's going to do. Even Braylon Allen is a sight for sore eyes for those people that are looking at olden day power football. But they are almost independent of what the quarterback can do. The fact that Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson showed a connection, showed a relationship to one another. I mean, they were just making sweet touchdowns over there, and it was a beautiful thing to watch. It does excite me for what the Jets can possibly do going forward, but let's just as much as you want to temper the expectations and make the most somber win for a blowout win I've ever seen for the Arizona Cardinals. Let's remember the Patriots are starting Jacoby Brissett. Like this, you hold Jacoby Brissett to 3 points. That's like holding, I don't know, like Tua and the Miami offense on a regular day to less than 50 points is that's a win. So let's just keep that in the bag.
All right, so we're up against the break. So when we come back, we're going to talk Cardinals Lions. It's a Weekend Warriors Football Sunday on 1580, The Fanatic.
You're live.
It's the Weekend Warriors on 1580, The Fanatic.
Hey, get involved with the show today. Join us on the text line, 888-368-1580. That's 888-368-1580. And follow us on X. We are streaming on X today, so X exclusive. So if you want to interact, hit us up on the comments on X. Otherwise, you've got the text line.
You've got the text line. All right, so let's get into it. Let's talk about the Cardinal and Lion game today over here at State Farm Stadium at 1 o'clock. I'm sure the crowd's going to be pumped. I mean, coming off that big win. So this is a big game. This is a big opponent, and this should be a very, very, very good game. I'll lay out just a quick preview, and then we can kind of talk about some things. So the Lions last week, they're coming off a pretty frustrating loss to Tampa Bay. They were pretty much dominated in total yards last week. They were just 1 for 7 in red zone opportunities. Jared Goff did not have the best of games last week, and he's going to be looking to bounce back against a very questionable, very, very questionable Cardinals defense. I know that the Cardinals defense looked really good last week, and you got to give them credit for that, but I just don't see them being able to put the pressure that they did on Stafford, being able to do that to Goff, because actually the Lions do have an offensive line and a very good one. So I think it changes the makeup of this game. The Lions offense last week, they generated 463 total yards. I mean, so that's pretty good. And Jahmyr Gibbs contributed 84 yards on the ground. I mean, Goff still had his 300 yards passing and all that good stuff, but still he had a bad game. Cardinals coming off that dominant, and I mean dominant, 41-10 win over the Rams. Kyler Murray, probably the best game of his career. I can't think of a game he's played any better. 266 yards, 3 touchdowns. Rookie wide receiver Mars Harrison Jr., I mean, just he looked like his dad on steroids.
Yep.
I don't think his dad's ever had a game that good, so that would be kind of cool to go home and say, hey, Dad, you suck. So it's only my second game. Talk to me about it.
Yes, this is why, right.
But just as great as he looked, balanced with James Conner's 122 yards on the ground, 3 sacks by Gardeck. I mean, again, that defensive line dominated that patchwork offensive line. So when you look at this matchup, there's some key things that I'm going to put out there, and then we can discuss, right? So, I mean, key thing number 1 to me would be Kyler Murray versus that Lions secondary. That Lions secondary need to contain Murray both as a passer and a runner today. We all know the danger that when Murray starts running, what he can do. The secondary's got to be able to cover the deep threat. They got to be able to take Marvin Harrison out of the game. I think this is a really huge key matchup for this game.
Did you just call him Marvin Harrison?
Marvin
Junior.
Junior.
That's right.
But this is a key matchup, is that secondary versus Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison. That secondary has been questionable.
Yes, it has, yes.
So that for me is key matchup number 1. Key matchup number 2 is going to be James Conner against that front end of that Detroit defense. Now Conner is just that guy that can go in there, that can bruise for you, that's going to get his touchdown a game. Can he continue to have that bruising kind of effort against this defensive line, which will then help Murray be able to do some different things? Then I look at the other side of the ball, and I look at Jahmyr Gibbs versus that Arizona front 7. How can he do against them? He was a key contributor last week. He had a really good game. Is he going to be able to continue his efforts against this front 7 of Arizona? The Lions offensive line versus that Cardinals pass rush. I think the Lions will dominate in this key matchup.
Yes.
I just think that's a great offensive line. Mm-hmm. If the Cardinals can get the best of them somehow, that will be a game changer, no doubt about it. And then I'm really interested to watch Aiden Hutchinson, because he's got 5.5 sacks right now.
Yeah, very good.
And I want to see how he dominates on the right side against Calvin Beachum, who's filling in for Jonah Williams, who's on the IR. That's a key matchup for me as well. Okay, everyone, discuss.
This is where I want to play the Jaws music when you talk about Aiden Hutchinson.
Da-da.
Exactly. Yeah.
Da-da.
I think that's going to be a really important matchup. How Aiden Hutchinson versus the world. I think that's going to be one of the keys to the game. Obviously, we talked about a couple weeks ago, number 59 on the offensive line for the Lions. I forget the player's name, but he's the key to the offense as far as when they run their schemes and stuff. So if you want to look super nerdy in front of your friends today watching the game, look out for number 59. Watch what he does. Watch how the offense revolves around him. I think that they've got to find Budda Baker on the field. The Lions have to make sure they know where he is and account for him. That's obviously key, because he's going to do some damage if they don't contain him. And I do agree, they got to contain Kyler Murray. Don't let the little guy run around and do stuff, right? I also agree. I think I think this is good for the Lions to test the Cardinals' run defense and see what it's like.
Okay.
I think they're going to have success on it, honestly, but we'll have to see what happens. Anyway, I agree. I think those matchups are good. I don't know.
This is a good game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. I would like to be super definitive, but I'm still hesitant. Yeah.
This feels like a last-minute field goal game, right? Because
Right.
because the Lions are looking to run it, and then the Cardinals, you wonder if the domination that we all foresee from their defensive line to the Arizona Cardinals offense might just neutralize that entire offense and offensive production. I think you guys have really covered the Arizona offensive side of it very well. I mean, it's going to come down to Marvin Harrison versus that inexperienced and sometimes gettable Lions secondary. But if we look at the Lions offense, Jared Goff has not looked like Jared Goff, and what's concerning for that from a Lions perspective, and possibly a boon for anybody who's an Arizona Cardinals fan, is that he's not only played inside and indoors and at home for both of those first two games, but he's also just been non-existent. Like, they've been garnering a lot of offense through rushing and also some Amon-Ra sweeps and all this stuff, but Jared Goff himself for the season only has one touchdown, as a QBR of 36.9 and only 524 passing yards. That's not the Jared Goff you know. I mean, yeah, if you're looking at Buffalo in the middle of December and that's where he's failing, we've seen that Jared Goff before. We haven't seen an inside, fully protected this iteration of Jared Goff before ever struggle. So I'd almost say that if you're the Arizona Cardinals, dare I say, you sell out to make sure that Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, both of whom are the essence and the soul of the Detroit Lions offensive engine, I think that you almost sell out to make sure that neither of them get going, and then you hope that Jared Goff just is in a funk, and you just steal one away, and that Jared Goff can't find any of either Jameson Williams or Amon-Ra St. Brown for an easy touchdown and take it over the top, and just pray that's what's going on, because Jared Goff himself, I think, might be the key to this game for an Arizona perspective of hoping that he continues what is an odd inefficiency.
You know, though, if they give him the time back there, which I suspect he's gonna get a lot of time today, I don't have confidence in the Cardinals' rush defense in this game. Mm-hmm. I feel like they're gonna get dominated by that line, and if he's given that time, man, he might just be able to pick apart that kind of weak secondary of the Cardinals and have probably the biggest game of the year. I mean, so far. Yeah. So I agree with everything you just said. He has not been great, but I think this could be the game for him to get better.
But here's the thing. I don't think that the Arizona secondary is any worse than the two opponents they faced already. Do you think it's worse than the Rams defense? I don't. Not this year. Not without Aaron Donald.
Yeah, not last week for sure.
And then last week they played against a secondary, less injury prone Buccaneers team. I mean, both of those teams, I think you would rank lower than the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, you're certainly right. I'm thinking that even with all the time to throw, he's in some weird alter reality where he's just not seeing the field clearly. He's not getting the time. I don't know what it is, because I believe in that Detroit offensive line as well, Ralph.
So Phil, do you say you believe in the multiverse then?
Oh, I do.
Okay, that's awesome. Anyway, one little side note before you continue, Ralph, I just wanted to mention is that Amon-Ra St. Brown did show up on the injury report. Now, obviously, he is playing, but he's got something going on, so obviously you never know if it's just precautionary, if it might play into something, and if what Phil was talking about is true, then Jared Goff's going to have to show up because he's not going to have all of his weapons or his safety blanket like he had last week. So
I know we're saying that he hasn't shown up, but when I look at the stats from last week, the offense of the Lions generated 463 yards, and he threw for over 300 yards. There are teams that wish they had that bad day.
That's true.
So I understand what we're saying.
But with 2 interceptions.
I know, I get that. So I understand what we're saying, but it's not like the offense isn't moving the ball. They are. They're just having little issues here and there, right? So this is the game where you hope they can get it right if you're a Lions fan. One interesting stat that I thought this is a Cardinal stat offensively, is right now their third down conversion rate is 58%. It's the best in the NFL.
It's really good.
That's pretty impressive. People seem to forget. I mean, I'm going to say it again. This is a top 10 offense. This is a good offense. We're not taking anything away from the Cardinal offense. They could put points up with anybody, I would think. Mm-hmm. It's just that defense where I just This is going to be this could be a shootout. This could be an absolute shootout that could come down to who has the ball last and who kick a field goal, like Phil was saying.
Well, I mean, the line is the Lions as of when I checked online. The Lions are favored by 3, and that's basically with home field advantage. It's basically a pick 'em. So, well, no, I'm sorry, it's the other way around. Excuse me. No, it is kind of.
Yeah, no. So if it was on a neutral field, if they were to play in Dallas with Jerry in Jerry World, then it would be Lions -6 because you get 3 for being at home.
Oh
so,
yeah. Sorry,
yes.
This is why I don't bet.
I know it's so weird.
This is why I lose money when I bet, Ralph. Is because I don't.
This is why you don't bet.
That's why I don't bet. I don't bet the spread at least. The money line, it's okay. I can do that. But
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go back to me. The biggest thing in this game to watch is going to be Aiden Hutchinson.
Yep.
I'm going to keep saying it.
Yep.
If he dominates on that side and can get in Murray's face. Now I know Murray can get away, but if you can get him and constantly keep him pressured, I think he's in for a long day if that happens. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying Aiden Hutchinson to me is the X factor in this game.
Now, we haven't talked about our picks yet. We're going to save that for
We should probably pick this game right in this
Okay,
segment.
we can do that. Well, I'm looking at online some of the other news outlets, but of 4 USA Today, CBS Sports, Sporting News, and Sports Illustrated, only one of them is picking the Lions to win the game today. And that's a close one. USA Today has 26-24. CBS Sports has Cardinals 31, Lions 29. Sporting News has Cardinals 23, Lions 20. Is Sporting News still around anymore? Apparently, good grief. I think my dad used to know this one. Sports Illustrated, Cardinals 38, Lions 35. So everybody has it being a close game, but only one of them has the Lions winning. So that's interesting. What do you think? Mr. Romano?
This
Mr.
is
Phil?
so far, and it's week 3. This is the toughest week for picks for me. I'm looking at some of these games, and I'm just like, man, these can go either way.
Yes.
These are really, I mean, of course, they could always go either way, but when you look at them, you just go, oh, this team's going to win, that team's going to. I'm looking at going, man, this is tough. And this game for me, this is tough.
There are so many coin flips this week.
Yeah,
yes,
and to me, this is one of them.
Yes.
It really is. I wanna take the Cardinals, being the Phoenix home base that we are, and I think they're in a prime position where they're coming off a high and a great win, and this would be a good momentum thing for them to win this game. But I think this would be the biggest win of the year by far. Beating the Rams is great, but you know what you beat.
Oh, absolutely.
You beat a team that was beat up. So, yeah, you enjoy it, you take it, but you don't feel great about it because you're like, yeah, we should have beat them. This game, you walk away from with a win. Now you're like, hey, this is a team they're talking about for the Super Bowl this year, and we got them.
Yes.
So this is a big game for the Cardinals. That being said, I think it's a big game for the Lions because I think they're in a dogfight in their division as well. There's the surprising Vikings that are playing ball. The Bears are struggling. The Packers are the Packers, and they're winning even without Jordan Love. So this is a big game for them. This is a game they've got to win.
They've got to stay competitive in their division.
If I'm betting money on this game, and I don't bet a whole lot anymore, but if I'm putting money down, I gotta in an even game, I gotta take the Lions.
Wow.
The Lions.
I got
taking the Lions. He
I've
loves
got
himself some Aiden Hutchinson.
I do. I like
too.
the Lions defense. I trust Jared Goff. I don't feel good about it. It kind of makes me feel dirty. I feel like I need to take a shower after picking this because it really could go either way. The Cardinals, all due respect, Cardinals, you guys are playing good ball, and you could win this game very easily. But I'm gonna go with the Lions.
Ralph, you're so dirty. So I am. Yeah, again, coin flip. I get it. I gave my somber. That's like the. I can't think of the term. I can think of the term, but I can't say it on the air. What I did to the Cardinals just now, my little speech. But ultimately, I think it's a case to me of I'm a big believer in momentum, which I know has nothing to do with stats and stuff, right? But I feel like we talked about, the Lions need this win to stay competitive, and I just think that the Cardinals, because they're so inexperienced at being this dominant. This is a silly take, but this is how my brain operates, as we've said many times. I just think I've seen too many times where a team has a dominant victory and then they go and just completely stink the next week. I'm not saying that Cardinals are going to stink by any stretch, but I think that, like I said, reality is going to hit. Diana Taurasi, greatest ever. Shout out to her. But I think that it will be a close game. But I agree with USA Today. I think it's going to be the Cardinals are going to win by no more than the Cardinals. The Lions, the Detroit Lions,
I almost fell off my seat there.
Detroit Rock City, Motor City Kitties, the Roars restored. They're going to win by no more than 3.
Wow.
That's my prediction.
I guess I'll be the lone man on the side. Look, last week the coach for the Detroit Lions, Mr. Kneecap Biter himself, put that L on himself, and dare I put that toe over the line? I think I like Jonathan Gannon more, a little bit more. Yeah, I think I like him a little bit more. So I don't think that this is one that we can hold on either side. If the Lions win, great. If the Cardinals win, great. I don't think that we'll look back in a week and be like, oh my goodness, you should have seen this coming. But I'm going to go with the Cardinals. They're at home. They got to have this win. It's a great opponent, an opponent that got into the NFC Championship game and lost just barely. So it would be a quality win. I'm going to go with the Cardinals with no assuredness on that pick.
No assuredness. Okay. I mean, again, I think I'm sitting there going, man, I want to change my pick. I mean, because
it's too late. You can't do it.
I can go either way with this. I just, man, this is a tough one. And when I go back and look, so let's real quick. I know we're getting ready to go to the next break. You know what? Let's just go to the break. We're up against it, and we'll do the rest of our picks on the other side of the break. Talk about the pick contest. Talk about our record so far through 2 weeks. I know Phil really wants to do that. So we'll get to that after the break. It's the Weekend Warriors Football Sunday on 1580 The Fanatic.
1580 The Fanatic.
Baby, I'm howling for you.
You're like,
It's the Weekend Warriors Football Sunday on 1580 The Fanatic.
Football Sunday. Hey, listen, if you're thinking about your fantasy football team, want to make some last-minute adjustments, don't forget we've got Scott the King coming up in a little bit. So, hey, get ready. Start texting your questions to our text line, 888-368-1580, and ask what your fantasy football advice, ask your questions, and, you could just say hi. Do we have any texts on the line we can talk about?
Not about that, no.
Okay, good. All right, well, we're not going to do that then.
All right, so also now as we're going to go to the rest of our picks here till the top of the hour. Don't forget about the NFL Pick'em contest. It's back at 1580 The Fanatic. Make your picks for each game of the season for a chance to win. You'll be playing for a $1,580 first place prize.
Woohoo!
That you can take. It's a lot of money. Harmon Solar is giving that money as a prize. Second prize is a diamond tennis bracelet from Diamond Dave's Desert Wholesale Diamonds. I want that tennis
That's
bracelet.
A lot of D's.
and then there's a weekly prize, $50 gift certificate to Kasai Japanese Steakhouse.
What?
So, that's right. And have you ever had Kasai Japanese Steakhouse?
No, but I've heard about it forever on the
pretty
Fanatic.
Amazing. Yeah,
okay.
It's pretty amazing.
Is it that good?
It really is. So $50 weekly prize winner. So even if you can't, because you've already missed the first couple weeks and it's going to be hard to catch up, you can still sign up and get a weekly prize at the Kasai Japanese Steakhouse, $50. Just go ahead to 1580 The Fanatic. On the left side, click to join at Pool Host. Pool Host is the site that we use. The pool ID is 94030. Password to join is Harmon, all lowercase, HARMON. Get yourself signed up and start making your picks today.
Can I make a suggestion for next year for the prizes?
Sure.
We should do like Glengarry Glen Ross prizes. So the first prize is a Cadillac Eldorado, fully loaded. Second prize is a set of steak knives. Third prize, you're fired. Can we do that?
No.
Oh, come on. Anyway.
So when we go back and look at the first 2 weeks of picks, here's where we all stand. So right now.
We can skip this segment.
No, we're not skipping it. Through 2 weeks,
no.
and we do 6 picks a week. So through the first 2 weeks, Phil is 2-10.
Phil.
Yeah, but it's impressive. It's actually impressive in reverse.
It's impressive how anyone could be that bad. Yeah, I agree.
Phil, you're like the Chicago White Sox of picking.
We're tanking for better draft position next year.
Yeah, that
I
helps.
think that's a strategy, though.
It's
I
a
like
strategy.
that.
I have a feeling that'll change anyway.
Yes.
And then right now, Neil and myself are both tied at 8-4.
8-4.
Yes, we're 8-4.
I should go buy a lottery ticket because that's the luckiest I've been in a long time.
So far for today, we've got both of us picked the Lions. I barely picked. I'm still want to change that maybe. And then Phil has the Cardinals in the first game. Okay.
All right.
Let's go right to the Seahawk matchup. We got the matchup between the Seahawks and the Dolphins. And I'll start with you.
Thanks a lot, by the way. So real quick, and I'm not going to do super in-depth analysis because we don't have time, but The Seahawks have some injury issues on defense. I understand that. But the Dolphins, if you may have heard, they have some issues too. Namely, their quarterback he should retire. I'm going to keep saying it until it's just ridiculous. Anyway, I think that of the two teams that are down, I think that and it doesn't really pain me to say this because I like to see you happy once in a while, Ralph, just once in a while. I do actually think, like we said, all these games are coin flips. I think the Seahawks will come out on top in this game. I think they'll beat the Dolphins, so I'm picking the Seahawks.
Okay. Phil?
So sad, but I think a quarterback determined this matchup, unfortunately. We're going to go with the Seahawks.
That's it, just the quarterback determined, huh? So I thought Geno had a really good game last week. Here's my fear, and it kind of ties back to last week, right? So K9 is still hurt. Kenneth Walker III, called K9. And he is a huge portion of what makes Seattle's offense go, right? When you have that running game with him, man, they are just dangerous with all those weapons. DK had a breakout game last week, like I said he would. Smith and Jigba had a breakout game, like I said he would. So when you have those weapons and then you have K9 in the backfield, Geno just has a field day. Charbonneau is a different kind of runner. He does a decent job, but he's not K9. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on Geno again to throw more than he typically would. And that scares me a little bit. It puts Seattle in a bad place. If K9 plays last week, I think they run all over New England. Because he didn't play, it's a close game. They win in overtime. I think this game is closer than people think because of this reason. Seattle's defense is playing great ball. They're a top 10 defense. I have a lot of confidence in them. But I'm struggling without K9 there. Yeah, I'm taking the Seahawks. But, man, this is another field goal game in my mind. I don't see any domination here. And if Tua was playing, I think Seattle probably loses this game, just to be honest, without K9.
That's a good point. All right.
So, but I'll take Seattle as well.
Okay.
Okay, so we're all three on the same page on that one.
Yes.
Let's go to Green Bay versus Tennessee. Phil, let you start.
Yeah, Phil, you start.
The Titans defense is going to get one. Honestly, I think that Will Levis, maybe this will be like Green Bay last week where the Titans just run it down their throats with 60 rush attempts. Let's go with the Titans in a 3-0 game.
That's legitimate, honestly.
3-0.
All right.
I'll go next.
Yes.
I hate this game. I really do. And not because you're a Packer fan. I just hate this game.
I hate this. I'm with you, man.
And I'm sick and tired of seeing Jordan Love on the injury list as somebody that might actually play because we all know he's not playing. Don't know why he's on the list. But he's there. It pisses me off. But anyway. I don't trust Malik Willis. I just don't. I mean, I feel like we got this other version of him last week, which was really cool. I thought they run the hell out of the ball last week. I think they're going to have to do that again, but I think the Titans defense is really good. And I think they can make it really miserable for Green Bay. Every ounce of my fiber says just take Green Bay. They're going to find a way to win. But I'm not going to take Green Bay. I'm going to take Tennessee.
You were going to take the Tennessee
I think
Join the train, Ralph. Join it.
I know Will Levis has been inconsistent. I think he can find some consistency today. I just trust that defense against Malik Willis to make some bad things happen. If they can stop the run and you put it on Malik Willis's shoulders, I don't think you have a very good outcome. And that's what I think is going to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Tennessee in this game. And again, this is another one of those games where you can go either way. And it's probably a field goal game, but I'm going to take Tennessee.
Right. So what I think people are forgetting, the Titans are a decent team. We're not talking about the Carolina Panthers by any stretch. So, it's not going to be like that. However, right now, as of this moment, for 2 games, the Titans are the number 1 defense in yards allowed, and they gave up 92.5 yards rushing in the last couple games. So if the Titans played the Packers last week, it's easy to pick Green Bay, right? Obviously, Malik Willis, they've crafted the offense around him to be mainly run, like be a game manager, be Trent Dilfer out there. Just don't cry a lot, okay? But now that Malik Willis has had a week, they've got him on tape now, you're not going to have the same success running the ball. Teams are going to start stacking the box.
Fair point.
So Malik Willis is going to have to step up. And the question is he going to have enough? Is this the week where he gets replaced by the fourth quarter. I don't know. This is my super secret analysis. I have a deep spiritual connection to Green Bay, Wisconsin, and I'm telling you,
deep spiritual.
I'm getting
soulmates.
I'm getting the vibes from Lambeau Field that I do think that despite the toss-up nature of this game, I think that the Green Bay Packers will find a way, probably on defense, to be victorious. I think they're going to win. It's not going to be a lot, fewer than 3 points, but I think I'm picking Green Bay in this game.
I can't hate it.
I don't hate it, and I'm not surprised.
Well, of course. Oh, and listen, there is nobody who I will be the first person to admit when I'm a 100% homer on a bet or on a pick, and this is definitely that, because it could go either way, honestly.
No, I'm with you. I think it's a really good analogy that when you talk about, or a good point when you talk about the fact that there's tape on them now in the offense and what they did. Because last week I don't think anyone knew what that was going to look like.
Oh yeah, and
now you kind of get a feel for it. So if you're Green Bay's head coach, you're probably scheming the exact opposite of what you did last week. If you're smart,
well, we'll see.
We'll see how smart he is. But yeah, you're right. I mean, if they're going to probably stack up against that run and say they're going to dare Malik to throw on him.
All right.
And that's where this game's going to get interesting. So again, another flip-flop game can go either way. Exactly. All right. The next game that can't go either way is the Broncos and Tampa. And I'll start this one.
Wow. Oh yeah, please.
I Tampa Bay has looked really good this year so far. I think that Baker Mayfield's done a really good job of leading the offense up and down the field. I think the defense has played some decent ball. They're not fantastic, but they're decent. The Broncos have a young, who I like, quarterback running the show, who's shown some flashes of potential. There's no doubt about it, but is still kind of inconsistent. I don't feel like they're giving him the ability to do too much. I think the playbook for him is really short, and I think that hurts him as well. And I think Tampa Bay might just go off pretty badly on Bo Nix today. And I really believe, and I'm not going to get too much more deep into this, I'll let you guys do it, but I'm taking Tampa Bay. I don't think this game's even close, but I think Tampa Bay runs away with this game.
So I'll chime in real quick so that Phil has some time to talk. I'm going to pick Tampa Bay because I am a Baker Mayfield believer. I just am. That's my only explanation for it. I think it's going to be a close game. I think Bo Nix is going to continue to evolve and show he's a great quarterback. But, if you don't have the supporting cast, that's fine. So, yeah, I think in this case it'd be a good game, but I'm picking Tampa Bay.
Look, Patrick Surtain is one of, if not the best cornerback in the league, and I think Baker Mayfield's having himself a nice little moment, but we are going to absolutely take away Chris Godwin. And once you take away that, what do I got to deal with on the ground for the Bucs? All of Rachaad White or maybe even his backup? Oh, my goodness. And for all those reasons and that, I'm picking the Buccaneers too. I don't believe it. I don't believe in the Broncos this week.
That's awesome.
I did not see that coming.
I don't know how they're going to do it, but the Buccaneers are just going to throw to their tight end, I guess, because even they'll just say, okay, but whoever Patrick Surtain's got, we'll go to the other one. We'll go to Mike Evans.
Don't forget about Bucky Irving.
Or Bucky, or how dare I forget? Baker to Buck.
Baker to Buck.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the connection.
2 games, we got to go quick. Okay, Bears and Colts. Neil.
I think this is the week that they put it together finally. Caleb Williams gets his first victory against a mediocre Colts team, so I picked the Bears.
Wow, Jeffrey's not going to like that comment.
Well, that's too bad.
1 minute.
Who do you got, Phil?
I got the Colts.
You got the Colts.
All right. This last game.
I don't know who I have. I'm going to say Colts for now.
Okay.
Oh, for now.
Last game, the medical bowl. Who do you got?
I got the Niners just because the Rams look so bad they deserve to lose again.
What do you got, Phil?
I got the 49ers?
I think we all kind of got the 49ers,
yes.
And we feel really bad about it.
Correct.
Because this game sucks.
Yes, it does.
All right. So stay tuned on the second hour 2. We've got Scott the King Engel joining us to give us our last-minute fantasy tips. Get ready if you have questions, and we'll go from there. Show's got 1 hour down, 30 minutes to go. It's Weekend Warriors Football Sunday on 1580, The Fanatic.
You're out.
KQFN Tempe. Also transmitting on K257CD Phoenix at 99.3 FM and K240 EU Mountain Hills at 95.9 FM.
It's the Weekend Warriors. Da, 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 da. Warriors come on to play.
Yeah! Here we go!
You're live.
Good NFL Sunday morning, everybody. Broadcasting live from the Weekend Warriors studios in beautiful Peoria, Arizona. I'm Rob Romano, alongside my partner in crime, the legend, Neil Lynch. We have Phil Emerine in the control room, and this is hour 2 of Weekend Warriors Football Sunday edition.
Hey, last chance to get on the text line, 888-368-1580. 888-368-1580. Text in your fantasy football questions, and we'll get them answered right now.
Right now, in a bombastic way, even maybe. We'll see.
Just so bombastic.
Bombastic way. All right, so with us now, we've got Scott, the King Engel of rotoballer.com and Seahawks.com. He also writes for The Athletic and Sportsline.com. He's an inaugural member of Fantasy Sports Writer Association's Hall of Fame and an overall great guy and just a stud. Scott, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I couldn't have asked for a better intro than that. Huh?
That's what I was thinking, Scott. So,
Yeah.
It's good talking to you. It's been it's been 2 weeks since we talked to you last.
Thank you.
I was actually listening to you this morning on X. I knew you were in a show there talking, and I heard a couple things, and I was like, man, this guy, I love this guy. So
Yeah, I'm doing X Spaces every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern at Scotty the King. Thanks.
oh, you're welcome. And then I got to tell you, before we get going here, I actually was using rotoballer.com this week to set up my fantasy lineup. And
Nice.
That's an amazing tool. I was just like, wow.
Thank you.
My team is pretty fantastic. I'm just going to say it.
Oh, sure.
Which was the tool that you're talking about? You got a
I
bunch
was
of
looking
them.
at the matchups, just looking at your top guys per position, things like that. You know, who you had for the week, and that really
Yeah.
helped me kind of set my lineup. It was the easiest thing ever. And my team is like we're 2-0 in the Premier League and the Daily Blender League, and I'm just killing it, beating everybody up. And I'm like, man, this is a
Nice.
great tool. People have got to go to this rotoballer.com. They've got to use this tool. It's fantastic. You learn everything you want to know
Thanks a
about
lot.
fantasy. So I just wanted to mention that. And
Appreciate that.
I do have one. I have one text I wanted to start with. I know, and then Phil's going to get involved here in this segment as well. But I did have a text that somebody was asking in a flex, D-Hop or Darnell Mooney.
You can't play DeAndre Hopkins right now. He's just, he's playing through an injury. He's just ineffective.
Okay.
Scott, let's talk about QB changes. Big news of the week is that the Carolina Panthers benched former number 1 overall draft pick Bryce Young for the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton. Does this resuscitate any fantasy value to this Panthers offense? And additionally, do either of the Panthers wide receivers become buy low candidates that maybe you want to trade for?
Don't think we can trade much before 1 p.m. Eastern at this point.
Right.
So
Maybe
I
going
think
forward?
that's kind of something that has to wait until we see how it plays out. But I am very optimistic about Deontay Johnson now, and I will keep my eye on Xavier Legette.
Speaking of quarterbacks, Miami's offense is normally pretty explosive, Scott, but Tua is out indefinitely. But strictly speaking, in terms of fantasy, does a downgrade in QB in general mean that you can bench Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle while Tua's out?
It's against fantasy law to bench Tyreek Hill. He's Tyreek Hill. No matter who he faces, it's a very good Seattle secondary. But look, Skylar Thompson, he's not Malik Willis. He's not Nathan Peterman. He's Mike McDaniel has him on his roster for a reason. Mike McDaniel is a solid talent evaluator and offensive coach. So, Skylar Thompson not going to complete 5 passes for 50 yards. Tyreek Hill is still going to be dangerous. Jalen Waddle is inconsistent even with Tua out there. Devon Achando is my number 2 overall running back on rotoballer.com today, though, because, he's just going to get so much work with Mostert out again. And Seattle is missing one of its starting linebackers, Jerome Baker.
Oh,
You're
that's
playing
right.
DFS today, you got to go with Devon Achando. He's a good pivot play.
Ooh, good tip.
Okay, we got a text for wide receiver, Jacoby Meyer or Quentin Johnson.
It's a tough matchup for Quentin Johnson, but so I'm going to say sit him, even though he's coming off of a good game, because Myers goes against Carolina.
Okay. How about at running back? This is interesting. Eli Elliott or Deontay Johnson?
Eli Elliott?
You mean
Oh, my
Ezekiel
goodness.
Elliott?
I'm sorry. Did I say Eli? I meant Ezekiel. I'm
Confused
sorry.
the quarterback and the running back.
Yeah, I
together.
meant Eli. I meant
Giants and the
Ezekiel.
Cowboys. You threw me off there. Elliott or who?
Elliott or Deontay Johnson?
I'm gonna go Deontay there. You just don't know with Elliott. Like he's got a good shot of a touchdown in that game. You know what? I'm actually thinking this through. That could be a high scoring game between the Ravens and the Cowboys. So I'm gonna go with Elliott.
What about if we go to something else? So we know the defenses are a no, but what about in the situation of like a quarterback? Because you can only play one quarterback. Do you often find value in holding and rostering a second quarterback if you didn't draft him, obviously?
It depends on how your league drafted. If you have guys like, say, Derek Carr was still a free agent until this week, or Trevor Lawrence, who's got up to a bad start, is still out there, Matthew Stafford, and you can pick up a second quarterback off of waivers any week, then you don't have to roster a second one. But most leagues that go deeper, you have to roster two quarterbacks.
Okay. And so in that general sense, you're saying you can or you can. What about how far into it? Let's take a Derek Carr, right? He's going through the first 2 weeks of the season, doing absolutely bonkers numbers. How long into a season do you have, say, let's make a comparable suggestion here. Let's say you have Jared Goff starting. You drafted him. He's your starting quarterback, but you picked up Derek Carr. How long before you actually buy into the hype, before you feel like, you know what, I'm going to start Derek Carr and I'm going to start him confidently over somebody you did draft like Jared Goff or maybe even Kirk Cousins?
Well, Cousins is a backup quarterback, really, fantasy-wise. So, but Goff, when do you stream him over Goff? I think, for about 4 or 5 weeks into the season, he's remaining hot. It's going to be hard to bench Derek Carr.
I've got a text on the text line from Sir Drives a Lot. Says non-PPR league, Gibbs against the Cards or Ford against the Giants.
Yeah, you can't bench Jameer Gibbs. You just can't. He's a must start every week.
Okay, here's another one. Wide receiver, Michael Wilson or Rome Odunze?
Yeah, but Wilson's not playable. Odunze's going to have a larger role with Keenan Allen out today, so definitely Odunze.
And here's one at quarterback. You like Goff or Stafford?
Ugh.
I don't like Stafford at all today. The Rams are totally ravaged by injuries, and Goff has a matchup against an Arizona defense that, I'm sorry for people listening, just didn't. It's not as good as it looked last week.
Yeah, we've been talking about that all morning. That we feel last week was kind of like a fun thing. Enjoy it, but it was just last week because of the situation. So understand what it was worth. Wide receiver, Smith and Jigba or Xavier Worthy?
It's funny. I was just doing a FanDuel lineup, and I popped Smith and Jigba in there for 6,100 on FanDuel. Yeah, I'm going with Smith and Jigba. Worthy is boom or bust. He's only got 2 catches in each game.
What do you think about DK today?
He'll see a lot of Patrick Ramsey, but he's beaten Patrick Ramsey before. So, you don't pull him out of your fantasy lineup.
I agree. For me personally, I have the Seahawks defense that I'm starting. Do you think that's a good start against this hurt offense of the Dolphins?
I think it's a good start, but there are better units out there. Like Green Bay is a free agent in some leagues, or Las Vegas. I'd use them over Seattle. They are facing Skylar Thompson, but with Jerome Baker out going against Devon Chan, and Tyreek Hill, like I said. So
that's true. Okay.
Scott, with a bunch of people being out this week, it seems like injuries have hit fantasy harder this year than in recent memory. And of course, it's one of those things that it hits more when it's active than it does in the previous years. But with a lot of injuries this year, thus far, do you have like a over 80% unrostered player that maybe you think is going to have an exceptional matchup this week, or going to be somebody that you'll be looking back and might be the number one waiver claim going into next week?
I don't know if he's going to be the number one waiver claim, but I write an article on The Athletic that's published every Friday called Flex Flyers. Guys that are under 60% rostered on CBSSports.com, which is maybe the most competitive platform that really reflects ownership the best. I run down and you can check it out on The Athletic this morning if you want to. Players that are widely available who can pop into a lineup. And one of my deepest guys is, I don't know if he's going to be number one roster. When you're talking about players who are over 80% rostered, they, unless there's an injury, they won't become the number one waiver wire pickup. But I've added Noah Brown of the Commanders in a lot of leagues. Somebody's got to take that number 2 wide receiver job there. He spiked it a few times with the Texans last week, and he's healthy, and he could have a nice game on Monday Night Football.
Noah Brown, keep that on your fantasy radar. Okay, Carson Steele, Samaje Perine, and Kareem Hunt. This is the group, the task force that's supposed to keep the stead of the running back position for the Kansas City Chiefs, Scott. Is there one of those running backs that you want to have ownership of or be a part of and hold stock in above the rest, or do you think it's going to be a true committee here?
I think we have to see that play out today. If you're in a situation where you're considering any one of those running backs, if you're playing a PPR, Perine's going to catch the most passes out of the backfield. If you play a half PPR or a standard, then I would go with Carson Steele.
And if we're looking at the Bills' wide receiving weapons, we saw a big 0-0 out of Keon Coleman, and Khalil Shakir is solid. I think is probably the best that we can hope for. If you're a Keon Coleman, I guess, specific fantasy manager, is he droppable for you, or is he somebody that you're waiting on and just waiting to start until further notice?
Too early to cut a high NFL draft pick. Today, though, I think Dalton Kincaid has a bounce-back fantasy game. And then, it's really Khalil Shakir until Keon Coleman comes on more. I like Khalil Shakir as a flex play today.
How about at tight end? Is Ferguson back? Is someone's asking about Cole Kmet or Ferguson?
Yeah, I would never play Cole Kmet over Ferguson. He's just become less relevant with the receiving additions in Chicago, and also Caleb Williams is just not playing well.
Do you think that's? I mean, he's not playing well, but I mean, do you feel that's Caleb Williams, or do you feel like the fact that he has no one blocking for him?
I think with Williams playing well, they're not playing well. I think he's a rookie. Everybody got so hyped in the preseason, but things just different when the regular season starts.
Except Ralph. Ralph was not hyped at all about Caleb Williams. He's not wearing a Caleb Williams jersey right now, in fact.
Whatever.
Yeah, well, I think over the longer term, I still like him.
Yeah, I mean, I think he needs to get some protection in front of him and not have the ball come in his hand and he has three guys on him right away.
Correct.
I agree with you.
I'm not sure I don't think it's a good day for them today either, because I think that Colts defense is probably going to be all over them.
Scott.
Yeah, well, it's not a great defense. I mean, they are missing DeForest Buckner, so that doesn't help.
That is true. Scott, unless if you got Tyler Conklin, but unfortunately we're heading into Sunday, not Thursday. The tight end position seems to have become more of a touchdown-dependent play, more so than ever, even with like the top 5 guys being non-stop starters for you. You just don't feel confident. If you don't have one of those upper echelon, top-tier tight ends, is there a person that you see is going to just get a touchdown today from the tight end position that if you're just streaming tight ends, that's who you should go after? Obviously, no faith in
the
Cole
Miami
Kmet.
Dolphins. Also, if you play in a PPR league, 6 catches last week. Seattle allowed a career game to Hunter Henry last week.
Hunter Henry. Okay, good to know. Good to know. And one last one here, Scott. Where do you draw the line? Again, if we're talking about quarterbacks, they make the whole stir. They stir the entire drink. If you're looking at somebody like Anthony Richardson, who's going up against a top-tier defense in Chicago, if you're a fantasy manager and you drafted him and he's up and down and he's everywhere at once, is he somebody that you're looking to in facing a stout defense to maybe possibly see if there's a replacement option, or do you just ride that train and you hope that you hit the lottery today?
It really depends on what your other options are, because the rushing upside is still there. And that's what you want in fantasy football. He's my 10th ranked quarterback on rotoballer.com this morning. It really depends on who you have. I'll play him over Brock Purdy, but I'm not playing him over C.J. Stroud. Well, nobody's going to have Stroud and Richardson. That's a bad example. I would not play him over Jared Goff.
All right. So, everybody, I mean, that's Scott Engel. I got to tell you that rotorballer.com, you've got to go check out rotorballer.com. I am now the #1 fan of rotorballer.com. I love the tool. I love the website. Go check it out. It's Scott Engel of rotorballer.com, Seahawks.com, writes for The Athletic, sportsline.com, inaugural member of the Fantasy Football Writers Association Hall of Fame. I mean, this is just the best guy that we can have on here to help you get ready for your day in fantasy football. Scott, we appreciate your time. I know you're busy on Sundays. Appreciate you taking a little carve out of your time to come with us and speak to our listeners, and we'll see you again next week.
Never too busy for you guys, and I appreciate the good words. I really do.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week. It's Weekend Warriors Football Sunday on 1580, The Fanatic.
You're right.
It's the Weekend Warriors on 1580, The Fanatic. As we get ready here for Sunday football, got about 7 minutes left in the show, and we'll go to national broadcast after that. Got a text from Bat Flipper that says R.I.P. Al McCoy.
Yes.
So, yeah, R.I.P. Al McCoy. That was a big loss yesterday. I think he was 91 years old.
Yes.
So, big celebrity in the Valley. All those years broadcasting games. So, yeah, rest in peace, my friend. All right, Neil.
So we were talking about this. We were alluding to it earlier. I'm going to get into it just for a moment as our final segment. If I were a writer for the NFL, this is the story that I have. Like, there's 2 stories that I have every year. Well, there's a couple of them that you're going to run every year no matter what. And in week 3 is when you run the story about what happens if your team goes 0-2. Okay? So, as we know, in the National Football League, anything can happen anytime, anywhere. We get it. But statistically, in the last 13 years, 279 teams have started their season 0-2. Give me a guess. Phil, this is for you too, obviously. Okay. Give me a guess. How many teams of that 279, how many teams ended up making the playoffs?
Ralph, you want to go first?
20.
I think it's 12, and about 4 of those are the Cincinnati Bengals. It feels like.
So those are all good guesses. The actual number is 32.
Oh, okay.
32 have made the playoffs. Now, of those 32 that made the playoffs, okay, so now we're narrowing it down further. Of that 32, how many actually ended up winning their division after going 0-2?
Oh, wow.
5. I think it. Out of 30, I think it's going to be even lower. I think that is a 2.
17.
No way.
Have won their division.
That's surprising. Those are bad divisions.
Yes. Now, here's the best one. Now, there are only 3 teams in modern NFL history who have won the Super Bowl after going 0-2. There are 3 teams. Tell me the teams.
I got that. Ralph, you want to work on this together?
I want to. Yeah, year and team.
The New York Giants
Yes.
with the Patriots.
That's 2007. Yes,
That's the only one I can think of.
That's one of them.
Won the Super Bowl. I feel like the Pittsburgh Steelers with Ben. No, they had that. Goodness gracious.
Is the Steelers one of the teams?
No,
They're not.
Steelers is not one of the teams.
Oh, wait, Emmitt Smith and the Cowboys when he held out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hold that year.
1993 Cowboys. Yes. Okay,
Yes.
so you got one left.
Let's see.
Don't overthink it. It's between 93 and 07.
Oh, it's 93 and 07.
It's between those years. So it's after 93 and before 07 is when the third 0-2 team won the Super Bowl.
Green Bay?
No.
I'm surprised Neil could make a question without Green Bay.
Yeah, he's not. You're not wrong.
Yeah,
You're not wrong.
Well, we know. Let's see. It's not the Lions. It's not going to be the Chargers. Let's even just think about 93. Is it the Patriots? I mean, if we're looking at
2001 Patriots.
Okay.
That's logical.
So those are the only 3 teams that have gone 0-2 and went on to win the Super Bowl. Now, that brings us to week 3. There are 7 teams currently 0-2. We're going to go through them, and then we're going to decide right before the end of the show. We're going to decide.
The show is at the end.
Okay, you know what? Don't get to me. Which
saying.
one of these teams are going to make the playoffs? Here they are. Baltimore Ravens, Cincinnati Bengals, Tennessee Tuxedos, Denver Broncos, New York Giants, Carolina Panthers, Los Angeles Rams.
Okay. No Rams.
Okay,
No
yes,
Rams.
They're out.
We can agree.
No Titans.
I don't agree.
Oh.
Okay, so he doesn't know.
All right, so we have Titans is potentially going to make it.
No
All right.
Panthers.
Oh, the Panthers are pathetic.
Yeah, no
way.
Pan.
Are
Oh
you
gosh,
kidding
yeah.
me?
Who's the other? Bengals. I think the Bengals might make the playoffs.
I think the Bungles will. Well, you alluded to it, Phil. 4 of those are probably the Cincinnati Bungles. Yeah,
They're used to this. They like playing from behind.
Who are the other ones?
Wow. Okay.
Ravens.
The Ravens are going to make it.
I think the Ravens make it, yeah.
All right.
Ravens, I think.
How about? Okay, so I'm going to say this one. How about the Broncos, buddy?
No.
No.
Okay.
No to both.
They're lucky to
playoffs.
have 5 wins.
And the New York Giants, they're not going to win. Okay.
No.
So we think that of the 7, the Ravens, the Bungles, and the Tuxedos are going to make it to the playoffs. Okay,
I agree with that.
So
Yes.
let's mark this down because we're going to follow this. We're going to try.
I mean, I don't agree with the Titans. I think that's insane, but
Look, I don't necessarily believe them with Will Levis, but have you seen that that coach nearly cuss out that guy on the sideline? I believe in their backup more than I believe in Will Levis, and that defense is ferocious.
I mean, yeah, you're right. And defense
2
can
minutes.
get you to the playoffs. So,
I believe in the coach and I believe in the couch too.
what's the one thing you're looking for today? What's the one thing you want to see today? Is there anything you're standing?
I want to see. Well, obviously, I want to see if Green Bay can outguess what everybody thinks is going to happen with the game. Like, are you going to actually let him pass? Is he going to be able to be successful without running the ball 300 times?
How about you, Phil? What's the one thing you're looking at today?
I want to see if the Saints are real here. I mean, the Eagles,
Oh.
the Eagles aren't a couch potato, so that would be a legit win. But when you go with the Carolina Panthers and the Dallas Cowboys, who are always ripe to undersell, I want to see if the Saints are for one more, and I will actually buy in.
You know, when I squint really hard at the Saints, I see Mike Shanahan's Denver offense with the stretch plays and the naked boots. Yeah, I'm with you.
So
on
much
that.
motion.
I'm with you on that. I'm very curious to see if the Saints are for real.
I'm really curious to see how the Cardinals perform against the Lions. I think this is a big game for them. This is gonna decide where this season's going, in my opinion.
I agree.
Are they for real? Can they actually compete with the better teams in the league, or was last week, like everybody is saying, just a product of who they played? I'm really curious to see what happens in that game.
So too.
So
Hey, listen, man, I'm glad that you got to hear from me today. So we're really happy to be here.
yeah, thanks for bringing everybody down at 8 a.m. in the morning. That was awesome. Maybe we should have the downer segment with Neil Lynch.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm in.
Bring your funerals, bring your sad orphans, bring it all. Neil's here to narrate it all.
Bring it all. We'll have Weekend Warrior NFL Sunday knives for your purchase next
30.
week.
Anyway, I can find the cloud in any silver lining. Trust
So,
me.
hey, thanks for joining us today, getting you ready for the great NFL Sunday.
20.
Everybody have a great day. Enjoy watching your games, and we'll be right back here next week doing it all again. It is the Weekend Warriors Football Sunday edition on 1580, The Fanatic.
Go Packers.